Hi, how's everybody doing? It's been a long time since I've made a video. I figured I'd do something different this time. I'm going to be talking about music. I'm going to be uh, reading off my top 10 favorite bands of all time. This list has definitely grown or been changed around over the years, especially in recent years. Um, Number one has always been the same ever since I was a kid, and I don't think that'll ever change. So maybe I'm a little biased to my number one, but it's what I like. Um, so I kind of sorted out from number 10 being who I listen to the least now, but they're still one of my favorites out of these 10. So we're going to start. Number 10 is going to be Cake. Now, for those of you who don't know who Cake is, they're famous for that song "The Distance." I'm not going to sing it right now, but they're a very unique band. They're probably the most different band in this list. I was introduced to them when I was a very very young kid, probably about 4 years old. My mom would listen to their albums all the time. They've only got like six of them, so if you can find some copies, they're really worth checking out. And they're not wouldn't take long to catch up because their songs are fairly short, um, and they're kind of quirky and. Yeah, they're just a very different band, but in such a good way. There aren't many unique bands like this. They incorporate they have actually have a trumpet player, so they incorporate the trumpet a lot into their music, and you wouldn't think that would work, but it does for their music. It really does. And the singer is really deadpan and kind of doesn't really sing. He's kind of talking, like imagine what I sound like now, but kind of saying the lyrics to a song. That's kind of how he sings, but it works. It really works for the music. Number nine is going to be Aerosmith. Aerosmith, I got really burned out on over the years. I went from loving them as a little kid to when I became a teenager, I didn't like them as much. And then once I graduated high school, I decided to catch up with Aerosmith and listen to all their albums. And they became one of my favorites. Definitely, they definitely got a lot of overlooked albums, such as "Dumb with Mirrors." Like that's considered like the worst Aerosmith album. I think to me, it's one of my favorites. If you don't like it, I understand, but I like it more than a lot of other people do. I think it's really underrated. They're a really good band. I don't listen to them as much, but I still will crank some of their songs every once in a while, especially if it's from the Rocks album. Rocks album, without a doubt, is their greatest album. So there's no arguing with that. Number eight is going to be Metallica. Kind of the same thing. I got really burned out on Metallica when I was a teenager. They were like my introduction to metal. I think they're pretty much everyone's introduction to metal. I got really tired of them uh, because there's only four good albums of theirs to me. There's four good albums and then a couple that are okay, but I don't listen to them like I do their first four albums: Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, Master Puppets, and Justice for All. Yes, I'm one of those types who once the Black Album onward, I don't really listen to as much. Number seven's Rage Against the Machine. Always loved Rage Against the Machine. They're also kind of unique. They were one of the pioneers of metal rap, and the guitar player. I just love his sound. His just unique techniques of just those sounds that are just so hard to recreate. And I've tried to do it. It's not easy. But they're a really cool band. I love like every member is great. And every song of theirs is really fantastic. They don't really have one bad song to me. Number six is Pantera. It kind of tore me because I was really stretching to see who would be above the other, Rage Against the Machine or Pantera. But Pantera is going to be number six. I think they're the one of the best metal bands ever. I think they're better than Metallica. I think they're like a better version of Metallica. A lot of people would kill me for that, but I just think they're a little superior. Um, I think they've got three fantastic albums, two mediocre if we're counting Cowboys from Hell onwards, not counting their like glam metal days, but counting when they actually got a label, Cowboys from Hell onwards. Three fantastic: Cowboys from Hell, Vulgar Display of Power, Far Beyond Driven. The next two were okay. But yeah, the Cowboys from Hell through Far Beyond Driven are three of the greatest metal albums I've ever heard in my life. Listen to them all the time to this day. Number 5 is the most recent one to my list. Number 5 is the Rolling Stones. I think I'm gonna get killed. I think they're far superior to the Beatles. If you like the Beatles more, great. Good majority of people do. So if you like the Beatles more people are on your side. I just always like the Rolling Stones more. I think they're a little more heavy. Yeah, Mick Jagger's not that great of a singer, but his voice goes with the music. And they've got so many songs and albums to listen to, like so much to catch up. It took me like a couple of weeks to catch up on all their music. I finally went out and got like a box set of all their albums, and I was like, man, it's so nice hearing Rolling Stones songs that aren't the hits that you hear on the radio. So yeah, they got some really fantastic albums and music out there. So if you're tired of all the Rolling Stones hits and you just want something new, definitely check out their hidden gems. Definitely a great band. Number 4 is Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath has my favorite bass player and drummer of all time, Geezer Butler. Bass, Bill Ward drums. The greatest, to me, the greatest rhythm in music history. Rhythm section in music history. Yeah, number 4, Black Sabbath. Really, really fantastic. And that's including Dio, Ian Gillan, Glenn Hughes, and Tony Martin. It's including all of those singers. So they got a really wide variety of music, depending on what you're in the mood for. If you're like me and you wanted to listen to everything after Ozzy, then you definitely got a wide selection of Black Sabbath to listen to. Not all of it's going to sound like classic Sabbath, but it's going to be a little something different, and maybe it's something you'll like if you listen to it. Like a lot of the Tony Martin stuff, I didn't think I would like, but a lot of it has grown on me. Still not. I still think he's the weakest singer of all the Black Sabbath singers, but it's good. Number 3 is Judas Priest. They're freaking awesome. I could listen to them any day. Yeah, they pretty much, them and Black Sabbath pretty much just paved the way, and just those two combined just pretty much raised the bar for what metal would become later on. And Judas Priest definitely helped that. I think they're a little overlooked and underappreciated sometimes. Number 2 is Led Zeppelin. I really underestimated this band because growing up, I did not care for their music because all I heard was their hits. I heard Whole Lotta Love and Stairway to Heaven and Black Dog and rock and roll and all that stuff, and I just didn't care for it. I was like, why are they considered so great? Why are they considered so great? So then one day when they started remastering the albums again, I think in 2013, 14, I picked them all up, and I was blown away by how great Led Zeppelin was. I was like, this is one of the greatest bands I've ever heard in my life. And pretty soon they became my second favorite band just after like a year. They were that good to me, and they just blew me away that much, and I felt like an idiot for underestimating them that much, and I completely understand why they're considered, to a lot of people, the greatest band of all time. If you think they're the greatest band of all time, I'm not going to argue there. So Led Zeppelin, definitely one of the greatest bands to grace this earth. I can't imagine a world without them now. And number 1 has never changed, and I don't think it ever will. Number 1 is AC/DC. I know, a lot of their songs sound the same. They do this, they do that. All their albums sound the same. Maybe. I mean, if you're not a fan of them, yeah. If you're not a fan of any band, a lot of their songs are going to sound the same to you. AC/DC, some of their songs sound the same, similar, but none of them have sounded like exactly the same to me, except for like maybe one exception. Number 1, AC/DC. I gotta go.